Welcome, everybody, to another Sunday Alumni Mastermind session of the COVID Crisis Comeback Challenge, Secrets of Goal Achievement Mastery. I'm Mike DeLuca, and of course, this is being brought to you by my little company, Integrative Wellness and Development, LLC. The purpose of tonight is totally about education. It is about education and trying to inspire you and motivate you and each other to take a deeper look at who we are, what we want to achieve, why we want it, how we're going to get it, and what are the steps a little bit each day and the tools we need to use in order to get there. And tonight we have a really special topic that I've been seeing this pop up quite a bit in a number of my coaching sessions and a number of my own sessions of self-exploration. And that is about the self-talk that we do on a daily basis and how that affects our goal achievement process and how that affects and creates this situation we know as self-fulfilling prophecy. And tonight I'm going to go into some interesting information about parts of our personalities that are connected with trends that are connected with this kind of self-talk and self-sabotage. And once we begin to understand this, we have a better ability to negate these types of self-sabotage by simply just thinking about what we're going to do or say before we react, and then also doing some techniques to sort of disarm and negate these negative self-talk and negative processes and tapes that start winding out and playing that can hold us back. So first, let's talk about this kind of self-talk. As we begin to become more self-aware, as we begin to become more looking at ourselves and what we say and do and think from sort of that third person perspective, that above perspective, we begin to see, if we're really, really objective about it, right? We begin to see that oftentimes when we use certain words, we are actually beginning to be the effect of a certain type of personality trend inside of us or a particular type of old program. So I'll give you an example. In a conversation I was having with someone, they kept bringing up this, okay, I see, well, I need to do this in order for me to be successful. I need to be more this. I need to do more this. I need to become more of this. I need, right? Rather than, okay, I'm going to choose to do more of this behavior or task that is more productive and will produce more positive results. Do you see the difference with, I need to be better. I need to do a better job at doing more of this versus I'm going to focus on spending more time being more productive by doing this. Raise your hand if you see the difference between those two approaches. Yes or yes? Good. Okay. Has anyone ever heard themselves say that? Yeah, right? Has anyone ever heard themselves say, oh, I can't do that. I've never been able to do that. Or, no one would believe that I can be successful doing that, right? All of these things begin to deflate our balloon that is supposed to lift us above our limitations, but we just shot an arrow into it, and now the air is coming out of the balloon, right? So this is really important. And this is just one small example, right? So I'm going to go through some of these tapes, some of these patterns that can show up in the way we think and the way we speak, and then eventually the way we act, and see if you recognize any or all of them. And then we're going to talk about what to do with them. So the first pattern is one that I really related to, and this is called the worrier. Not warrior, but worrier. Okay? And this is the tape, this is the program, this is the part of our personality, that story that brings up everything as a potential threat for longevity of you and society. It's everything is this is going to lead to a catastrophe. Everything is a potential catastrophe. And we only see the worst case scenario in each situation when we're coming from this place. It's a place of anxiety. It's a place of fear. And it's a place where we could actually become paralyzed by this what if, and the sky is falling, and what if this happens, and what if that happens, and what if that happens? We begin to immediately anticipate the worst. We begin to immediately overestimate the real chances of something horrible happening, or something negative happening, or us performing poorly, to the point to where that becomes the norm in our thinking, and we get into this worry pattern, right? Now, some of this comes from just, a lack of self-confidence, but some of this comes from negative things having happened in the past. And so that's an easy go-to, right? Because we're always afraid of something we don't know, something we can't predict. And if we have had some negative things happen in the past, and they're really clear in our memory, right? We then turn to something that is really clear in our memory, something that's familiar. Even though it's limiting and sabotaging, we often will immediately go to that, I need to do this. My workbook is saying this. My coach is saying this. Mike is saying this. Oh, I can't do that. I've never been able to do that. Or do you remember that one time I tried to do that and I failed and everybody laughed at me, right? Our mind starts spinning, and that part of the brain, which is trying to run away from, right? The brainstem, the reptilian brain, is trying to run away from pain, run away from danger. It's also trying to run away from embarrassment. And this personality, the worrier, can come out as being something that's familiar and easy to connect with. And, in a way, it takes away the responsibility of actually trying and learning, even if we fall short, by just saying, I'm always failing. I've never been able to do this. I'm not going to be able to do this. And then we don't do it. Okay? I'm not saying that we all do this all the time. I'm not saying that you have done this. What I'm saying is it's important to recognize this is a trait. And it's important to catch that next time we are challenged with doing something we've never done, or we need to try much harder at something in order to take a big step forward in progress, right? Here's an opportunity for us to be conscious about a pattern, conscious about a choice we're making almost, unconsciously, and be really conscious about it. And in doing so, we could actually shut that down and enable us then to move forward. Okay? Raise of hands. Has anyone ever found themselves doing that? After my catastrophic experiences and, my experiences that were really, earth-shaking for me, I started seeing that earth-shaking thing around the corner all the time. And I needed to change that. I needed to change my thought pattern, my language, and I needed to focus on opportunities rather than continuing to play back the tapes of past catastrophe. Okay? So that's the first one. Okay, the next one is one that we often have a lot of help developing, usually by family members, parents, teachers, clergy, anyone who has had a strong influence on our lives. And this pattern is called the critic. Okay. Those of you who've ever been in show business, who've ever been a performer, you've always heard, never read what? After a performance, or if you were on Broadway and you had an opening night performance, what do they tell you to do? Never read the what?
Reviews.
The critics' reviews, right? Don't do that. Don't read the critics' reviews, because we can be our even worse critic than any of the critics who have never actually done anything productive but just make a living criticizing people, right? And finding fault with what they've done when they've themselves have never done it, right? But this critic is a part of us, right? That is always judging. It's always finding reasons to cut things down, to bring things down, right? And it always is looking for a way to put somebody else down to make themselves feel better, right? And they tend to overemphasize weakness, right? And ignoring strengths. So, if any of you have ever had parents like that, raise your hand. If any of you have ever had a teacher like that, raise your hand. If any of you have ever had a boss like that, raise your hand. So you can see if you have 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3 or 4 out of 3, right? You can see why that program could be very prevalent running inside your computer, right? Yes or yes?
Yes.
Okay. So it's important that we recognize that when we start to think, oh man, can't you do anything right? Why are you so clumsy? Why do you always do that? Why do you always make that mistake? That was really stupid. You know what? You should be more like so-and-so. You should do this better. You should spend more time preparing. You should be smart, right? It's endless. It's endless. The criticisms, it's endless chopping people and ourselves off at the knees. And it's all because we've been criticized. It's also a natural function of our brain to be judging, examining and judging everything and looking at the quality of effect it's going to have on us, right? So we automatically, I found a statistic that I thought you'd be really interested in. Just a sec. Our brain does 60,000 times a day. It observes, comments, and judges everything we see and we hear and we do. 60,000 times a day. These little judgments and criticisms and measuring is going on. And 60,000 times a day. So if that's happening, doesn't it make sense that we're going to start mirroring that judgment? We're going to start doing that. And not only are we going to do that to others, but we're going to do it to ourselves. So that's why it's really valuable to practice that mental technique of, as soon as a judgment starts coming up, stop it and turn it into a compliment. Turn it into finding a strength, find a positive just before you start to jump on and celebrate the negative, right? I've often told this to supervisors and managers, often told this to teachers and to parents. And I'm telling this to you to tell yourself, and that is spend more time catching people doing something right rather than always focusing on catching people doing something wrong. And that goes for ourselves as well. Spend more time catching yourself doing things right, doing things well, and make that the digital photograph that you take and store right in front of you. Keep storing those photographs of you doing something right. Keep storing those examples of your strengths, right? Because remember what I talk about, being able to tap, right? Transferable experience, transferable success, transferable confidence, right? This happens by focusing on the things you're doing right or the things you want to do correctly. Focus on how great it looks to do it correctly, how wonderful it feels to do it correctly, how fantastic and confident you are seeing yourself do these things versus telling yourself, oh, you'll never do that. Or, oh, you did it wrong again, right? So please, I think the critic is probably one of the most damaging ways we sabotage ourselves and others. So be aware of that, I don't have the discipline to use my journal every day. I try, but I'm just not a disciplined person. Or you know what? I really did want to exercise more today, but I'm a lazy person. I was too lazy to do it. Catch that and stop it. Just say, I made the conscious choice not to do that today. I'm going to do it twice tomorrow, or I'm going to do it 20 minutes longer tomorrow. I will make up for it because I do have discipline and I do want to improve and I do want to get stronger, right? Okay. Let's move on. Okay, I encountered this the other day in a exploratory phone call with somebody. And that is, you see this a lot, and we've all done it. And this is the victim. Okay, this is the victim consciousness. I'm too weak. I'm too sick. I never had enough education. I'm not enough. I'm hopeless. You shouldn't even bother trying to help me. I've never been successful. And, I'm not that great of a person. I really haven't done very many good things in life. I'm probably not worthy of success, and besides, I have this health issue and, I have an awful job. I don't make any money and I have nagging parents or I have a nagging spouse. And, my kids have a lot of troubles and they take a lot of my time. And, there's just too many barriers, too many obstacles for me to do what I need to do to get what I want. Right? Have you ever seen that? Have you ever done that? We all have. That's why this is a major personality or a state of consciousness that we often fall into, right? We want to get out of that victim state of consciousness, right? We want to turn that around. And instead of focusing on past failures, instead of focusing on our weaknesses, we want to focus on our strengths, right? What can I do? What have I proven that I can do by looking in the past and saying, yeah, I did that. And I did this too. And I did that. And you know what? You put those together and I'd have everything I need to do this that I haven't done yet, right? It's so much easier to fall into the victim state of consciousness and say, they are always out there. They are always out there. They're always trying to make me unsuccessful. They always find a way of sabotaging me, or, they've never gave me enough opportunities, right? We start looking to them all the time, pointing our finger at them, pointing our finger at they, right? We need to turn the finger around and point it at us and say, I have the power to choose the state of consciousness I'm going to operate from, the attitude I'm going to have, the goals I'm going to set, and the actions I'm going to take to achieve the life that I want to have. Me, not them, not they, me, right? Make believe you're an opera singer exercising your voice. They don't say you. They say me, because that's what it's about. Me. That's who's going to do it. That's who's going to change. That's who's going to make the choices. Me. Remember that. Do that as a warm-up. Anytime you feel yourself falling into the victim state, no, me. It's up to me. I have control. I have the choice. I have the ability. I have the tools. I have the desire. We get rid of those words can't. We get rid of those words never. We get rid of those words anything to do with it's too hard. I'm too something. I'm lacking something. Get rid of that. And you will see incredible doors opening when we do that. Yes or yes? Thumbs up? Make sense? Okay. This is one that is extremely powerful and extremely popular, and that is the perfectionist, right? Oh, I can't, you know what? I can't do this until I've learned enough in order to be really good at and successful at this. I don't think I know enough right now. Yeah, I've done 12 drafts of this, but it's still not perfect. I really can't put this product out, publish this book, put out this video. I still, it's not perfect yet. I want it to be perfect, right? Or it's the part of us that is always pushing us to be better before we accept we're enough, right? You could do this better. You could do this bigger and better, right? You're not doing it well enough right now, but you could be better. And someday you will be better if you just get better and do it more. And, but you know what you should do before you go do it, because it's not perfect and you're not that smart. What you should do is this, and that will make you and it more perfect. How many people have grown up with the what you should do people? Okay. Yep. Right. I've had people that were high school dropouts who never attempted to learn a thing after they dropped out of high school ever again, but were very, very, very comfortable telling everybody what they should do. You know what you should invest in, even though they're broke? You know what job you should take, even though they've never had a big, decent job in their life? You know what you should do, right? As soon as you hear that, say, yes, I know what I should do. I should stop listening to you and start listening to me and other people who want to help me, who have proven they know more than you do, and they know more than I do right now, right? Because part of perfectionism is setting the bar so high that it is impossible to reach that bar, and then we have the perfect excuse to just kick back and not try. Why should I bother trying? I'm never going to be good enough, right? Never going to be smart enough. It's never going to be good enough. Nobody will want it. Nobody will buy it. Why should I even try? Easy excuse, right? They're also the ones you'll hear say, I really need to do this. I must. I have to do this before I am able to finish this. I have to do this before I'm good enough to do this, right? I'm not going to do this until I'm the best. I'm not going to go out there and compete until I know I'm the best, right? It was an interesting study they did about Olympic medalists, right? And attitudes. Who do you think was the most stressed, most unhappy, and lacked the most confidence and positive self-talk? The silver medalist or the bronze medalist? Okay. So first, raise your thumb if you think the silver medalist had the most positive self-talk. Raise a thumb. Silver medalists, like they're almost gold, right? It's pretty good. Silver's pretty good. It's better than bronze, right? Right? Anyone else think it's silver? Okay. How many people think it's the bronze medalist? Interesting. Interesting. Well, you know what? It was the bronze medalist, because the silver medalist was, I worked so hard for all of these years, and 1/100th of a second, I lost the gold medal, right? Or 1 point from the Russian judge, and I lost the gold medal, right? And the bronze medalist is saying, oh my God, I made it to the medals. I don't believe it. I made it to the medal stand. All these people I competed against, they did not get a medal. I got a medal. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful. I feel so good that I made it at least to this, right? You see the difference? Okay, I'm going to open it up to questions and comments. So let's go to the gallery. And whoever would like to be first with a question or a comment or discussion, just unmute yourself and we will discuss it.
So I have a question about what I should do with this.
Okay.
What I discovered when I started doing workbook 4 and answering a couple of the questions is that I have this pathological need to be rewarded, to reward myself, because
Okay.
I never got that.
Okay. Go ahead.
And I never got that all my life.
Okay.
And even when I accomplish something big now, I don't even acknowledge myself. It's just like, oh, well, I never really was able to reward myself enough.
Okay.
So I play a lot of games. I'm kind of addicted to games.
Yeah.
Different games.
Yeah.
In order to reward myself. And I do that when I accomplish something and want to be rewarded.
Okay.
So and this is a pathological need. I don't know that I'll ever be able to, but I'm willing to look at, like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Okay. Let's first start with your language. Okay. I heard several times this is a pathological need. Two powerful words, pathological, which means there's something wrong with me, and need. I need this. It's coming from lack. I need this, right? So every time you start to hear those two words in here, stop. Replace those with two positive words about yourself. So before you start to say, I have a pathological need to be rewarded, change that around to, I have many examples of having accomplished great things, and I'm proud of them. Right? And use your journal. Use your journal. Why do you think I have every day us looking at 3 goals and then did you accomplish them, right? Or not? What would make today absolutely awesome, right? What did you do that brought more wisdom, love, and freedom, right? There's opportunities to celebrate you and what you did that day inside the journal. I put that there to counteract that self-talk, right? And also remember the things that support and things that sabotage. Part of the things that sabotage is taking a look at our own sabotaging words and thoughts and attitudes, right? So look at it, observe it, say, I recognize that this is present. I choose not to feed it. I choose to feed the reverse. Rather than I have a pathological need for recognition, start with recognizing yourself every day. Here's something I did that was awesome. Put that in your journal. Here's something that I did really, really well. Put that in your journal, right? And then take time to go in your boardroom every day, see yourself on that screen doing something perfectly and give yourself credit for it and see what you look like. Chest out, head up, see yourself confident, see yourself just kind of warming up to that recognition that you gave yourself, because that's the only thing that means anything. The recognition we give ourselves is the only thing that means anything. Recognition from anyone else is fleeting. And usually, half the time, they have an agenda with that recognition of one way, shape, or form. So the purest recognition, the purest celebration, the purest love and applause need to come from ourselves. Practice doing that on that screen. See yourself really confident, really celebrating, and step right onto that screen and become that person. Bring it back. Bring that person back, right? JoJo's been running all of these practice runs and these marathons and these mini marathons and all of this stuff because she's had the experience of being successful here first, and now she's successful out here, and that success grows her confidence. Now we don't hear the, I don't think I can do that, because she's already done it. We don't hear that. It's now, I think I can go 2 miles more. I think I can go 5 miles more. I think I can do it in another 2 months instead of 3 months. Whatever it is, it's shifted, right? We've shifted from limited to limitless because we've connected with the transferable success, transferable experience of success and confidence, right? Every single one of us sitting here has had experience of being successful and having done something well. And we can draw on that like it's fuel for your car, right? We can draw on that. Because if we focus on that and bring that feeling of confidence, that feeling of motivation and inspiration and success, and we bathe in it like a bubble bath every day, that's going to become the norm, and it will quiet the critic. It will quiet the perfectionist. It will quiet, the worrier. We need to be warriors, not worriers. And we need to get rid of that word need, right? So let's choose to be warriors, not worriers. Let's choose to be supporters, not critics, right? Let's choose the opposite for ourselves and for others. Let's choose to be the hero, not the victim, right? Let's choose to be the doer, the trier, the learner, right? Not the perfectionist. Let's choose to be what will lead us to the achievement of our goals and not succumb to the programs that interfere with that, just because we're afraid. See, heroes are not people who are not afraid. If you study the archetypal writings, you study the biographies of great, successful, heroic people, we find that heroes are not people who weren't afraid. As a matter of fact, most of them were absolutely out of their mind, terrified, but they did it anyway because their why was stronger than their fear. Their desire to achieve, their desire to protect, their desire to save, whatever their desire was stronger than their fear of the pain. Because the reality is life is painful. Okay? Some tough realities I'm going to give you right now. Number one, you're all going to die. Okay? I'm telling you that right now. You are all going to die. Absolutely, positively, that is certain. What we do with the time between right now and when that happens, that's our choice. That's our power. That's our ability to create our reality. That's our ability to make our lives heroic and full and meaningful and powerful. Notice that word full is coming up, right? We have the ability to make our lives full and not empty because of fear. Heroes are afraid, just like anyone else. Their desire to serve, their desire to succeed, their desire to win, their desire to triumph over the greatest opponent, themselves, is stronger than their fear. Every one of us has the hero inside of us. That's part of our archetypal characters. We have the hero, we have the explorer, we have the creator, right? We have all of these amazing archetypes, right? We want to call upon that when we start to hear the voice of these other personalities, the worrier, the critic, the perfectionist, right? When you start to hear their jibber jabbering, as Mr. T used to say, I'm tired of that jibber jabbering. It's one of my favorite Mr. T lines. Stop that jibber jabbering, right? When we stop listening to the jibber jabbering and start recognizing the greatest, the finest, the highest inside of ourselves and tap into that, put that on like you're putting on a coat of armor, right? Put that consciousness on. I always made it a habit when I was called upon to represent the very highest in a moment. I would see myself putting on the eyes, the ears, the heart, and the voice of someone who I had tremendous love, respect for, someone who is an incredible mentor for me. I would always work to take on and embody their very highest that they inspired in me. And that would take me through, right? That would take me through when I was scared. That would take me through when I was afraid of failing. That would take me through when I was afraid of looking stupid, right? I'm getting a little passionate and excited here because this stuff is really important. And I love you and I care about you and I want you to have the very best life. I want you to be expressing the very highest you can do and you can be. And you know, when we can clearly see that there are actual things we can point to, you know, we can point to and say, yes, this is something that sabotages me versus this is something that uplifts me. We have the ability to see it, know it, and do something about it. Man, that's powerful, right? That's powerful. We have tremendous power. Mark and Elizabeth, the hand is up.
Yeah, I just wanted to, great information. And, you know, I know the truth of what you're talking about as well. As I've been going through the program for over a year now, it's interesting because you start to see yourself so differently. And that's where, you know, there's sort of an identifying of the programming. So that this person that I thought was Mark Bills, you start to throw things away and you're like, oh, that actually isn't me. Oh, that isn't me. That isn't me either. That's not me. And that isn't me either. And you're sort of left with not a whole lot, to be honest. And, you know, and I just find that fascinating, that kind of deconstruction of who we are. And maybe that's one of the things, like I'm finding it now quite exciting. I'm okay with there not being a whole lot left of who I thought I was. Because the part of me that is left seems to be who I actually am, whatever that is. And so I guess all I wanted to really point out was the contrast between the person we thought we were and this being that we actually are. They're very different, it seems to me.
And just to add to that, those were fantastic, really important points, Mark, and really thank you for not only sharing that, but having the, you know, the courage to come right out and say, you know what, I've discovered that, you know, what I thought I was isn't exactly what, you know, I'm discovering I am. That's true for all of us. But, you know, what's really important there also is all of the things we experience that fall away, they were just that, they were experiences. And even some of our toughest times or some of our biggest, you know, things that didn't work out, those are experiences. Our experiences do not define who we are. They define what we learn, right? If we take that attitude that, you know, all of the jobs and projects that didn't work out, right? That did not mean I'm a failure. That meant I learned a lot because I've taken from all of those things. I've taken from the successes and I'm using the skills that came from the successes, but I'm also learning from the things that didn't quite work out. I've learned what not to do or what to do differently. So the failures, quote, you know, the things that didn't work out were experiences. They don't define me and my capabilities. When things go wrong, that does not define you. That defines an experience you have an opportunity to learn from. Right? And we can choose in any moment to take one of those parts of us and make that to the forefront if we need it. Right? We have the ability of choosing our state of consciousness that we want to work from. And our state of consciousness will lead and control the thoughts we have to allow us to act the way we need to act and create the effect we need to create. Jojo, you've been very, very patient.
Yes,
thank you.
Jojo, that's right.
And then you're next, Carol.
Oh,
Well, Carol can go first, and then I'll go after her.
no, the only thing I wanted to say is Jojo has her hand up.
That's part of your characteristic of being really generous and thoughtful, Carol. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Carol. My question is almost like Mark, but when we're doing the journal and we get to those 3 things not to do, I find that very often I keep writing same ones. I change a bit, but I'm still working on the same things. And it's pretty much aligned with this self-talk things, like I won't judge myself if I don't do something right. And I keep rewarding the things not to do. So my question is, do we actually get to a point where we're comfortable enough where we can finally let that go? Or is that going to be like an ongoing thing, like retraining the mind and the brain and trying to identify, like you said, with a worry, okay, so you don't need to survive right now. We've already been through this. It's okay that we didn't get it right. Let's move on to some of the stuff we're doing good and focus on that without having to keep, I don't know if I'm making sense, but
You're making perfect sense. And a point I want to make before I forget it. Mm-hmm. Remember always that there is a part of you, there is a version of Jojo, right? Mm-hmm. There is a version of Jojo that has already attained the level of confidence, competence, and comfort in herself, right? Mm-hmm. That you are working very successfully towards manifesting here in the past of that future you. Because remember, the present is the past of that future already goal achieved higher self, right? We're fixated on this place, thinking that this is the only reality. It's not. There is a reality where we've already slayed the dragon. We have already built the muscles. We've already run the marathon. We are already working from that level of proficiency and strength and confidence. We just need to visit that more often and bring that part of us back. Okay. Right? So think of it that way, right? Don't think of it, am I always going to be doing the same thing over and over again? Am I ever going to get to stop that, right? Look at it and say, let me visit the Johanna that has already mastered this, that just crushed this, right? Go see that Johanna. See it on the screen in your boardroom. See what she's doing. See how she's doing it. Look at her posture. Look at the look on her face like an eagle, right? Like an eagle looking out into the sky. This is all mine. When an eagle flies over its territory, it's all that eagle's territory. It belongs to them. They own that, right? So we want to go into the future, watch that eagle, and then step right next to it and feel what it's like to be that Johanna, right? And then bring that feeling back into the present and say, I can choose to do things differently. And you do it. Just do it. Don't think about it. Don't judge yourself. Don't wonder, am I ever going to do it? Just do it, right? Without fear, without judgment, just do it. Just like you've been doing the marathons, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Jojo, there is the people here who are looking at you in your little square there, your Hollywood square, see the incredibly intelligent, competent, strong, courageous person that you are and love you and appreciate you being that way because you inspire us. And you're doing incredible things in your life, in your work, right? Because that's you. That's a part of you that you're manifesting. But if you're having trouble giving yourself the credit for it, go into the future and bring that confidence back. Because that Johanna, she owns that company. She owns that office. She owns that negotiation. She owns that social media marketing, campaign. She owns that, right? And you own that space that you're sitting in and that you're standing in and you're walking, and you own that. Give yourself the credit. You are smart enough. You are bold enough. You're bright enough. You're confident enough. You are, right? Or you wouldn't be here, right? You wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be doing the things you're doing, and you wouldn't be listening to this person here, right?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jojo. Thank you, because you inspire me every day. Thank you. I read your posts. And that goes for all of you. That goes for all of you. You have no idea how much you inspire me. Because I would have quit a long time ago. Right? I would have quit a long time ago to do this. I don't have to do this. Right? There's so many things I could be spending my time doing. Right? But you inspire me. And as a result, I'm learning more, I'm doing more, and I'm helping more people because of you. Because you showed up at the challenges, and you showed up at the masterminds, and you showed up at the master classes, and you showed up at the study buddy groups, right? People say, Mike, you created this really amazing thing. No, you did. Because it would not have been created without you. Give yourselves credit for wherever this goes, how many people this helps. It's because of you. In other words, I'd be like that person in a straitjacket just sitting here talking to themselves, right? Just talking to myself. No, I have you to talk to, and you're doing something with what I have to say. You're honoring it, you're valuing it, you're manifesting it. And that's where information becomes wisdom. Okay, information that is not acted on is just a bunch of nice books in a library on a wall, right? Information that becomes knowledge that is applied through living becomes wisdom, and wisdom is priceless. You are creating wisdom that both you and I can share. Carol, did you have your hand up because you wanted to say something? No? Okay. Mark and Elizabeth?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, you said something about the goal achieved self.
Yeah.
That really helped me place myself in that consciousness by recognizing that this is its past. And I think that, like that ability to move our awareness and gain that kind of flexibility, it's little points like that that seem to help us make that shift, right? Because we were taught to live within the box, and now we've kicked the box down. We've broken out of that, and we're learning to shift our awareness. Like, I love to me, much of what you've been talking about today is really about being there. Well, I kind of call it like a direct projection technique.
Love it.
Rather than thinking, well, I need to get something else before I can do that or get there or whatever. It's just, it's that teaching that is just like, be there now. And that's something that requires some practice. I found like the imagination techniques of the boardroom are super helpful, but it's like making it real and little points like that. This is the past of the goal achieved self is to me really interesting. It actually allowed me, even as we're talking, to slip into that place. Thought it was very interesting.
Thank you, Mark. And this brings up something very valuable, and that is one of the keys is doing. Okay. You will find that doing will create more momentum and more progress for you than anything else, right? When we start to overanalyze because of our perfectionism, or we start to worry too much, and that begins to freeze us, it takes away our energy and momentum. By having a plan to just do something will break us out of that inertia, right? It's about doing. Because thinking, then doing leads to being, right? Thinking alone without the doing ain't going to get you to being, right? Doing with a plan will get you to being, right? I had an experience a long time ago where I've been doing an exercise and visualizing myself with this being, great wise being. And they always had this white robe with a big hood on. And we were walking, and it just, the stuff I was learning was so powerful, and the images I was getting about my destiny and what I needed to do and what I could do were so crystal clear. And finally I stopped and asked, "Who are you?" And this being turned and he took his hood off, and it was me, right? It was me. And I remembered a scene in, I believe it was Empire Strikes Back in the original Star Wars trilogy, where he is taken, Yoda puts him in the cave of fear, right? And he takes back the shawl and he sees that he is his own greatest fear. He is Darth Vader, right? That was the reverse of the experience I had. I had the positive reverse of that, and that was my already goal achieved higher self was just as important a teacher for me as my teacher of all teachers, right? You all have a teacher of all teachers, right? Incredible wisdom, love, and freedom. But we also are one of our greatest teachers. Our future already goal achieved higher self is a great teacher for us, right? If we give ourselves the ability of listening and accepting and acting upon that being's wisdom. Because remember, we've been lulled into the illusion that we do not know and cannot do and are not yet ready to be. We've been lulled into that illusion. So when Mark talks about breaking out of the box, it's what I talk about, and that is throwing away the immaculate misconception that we are not enough, we are not yet wise enough, we are not capable enough, and we must wait to someday, somehow, some place, maybe be good enough, smart enough, disciplined enough, spiritual enough, wise enough, rich enough, whatever enough, right? There is a part of us that is already enough, and that's who we really are. We are enough. As far as God is concerned, as far as the divine force of life is concerned, we are enough. We are everything, but it's what we choose to do with it that makes the difference between how useful are we to ourselves, our goals, our dreams, the world, and to the divine. Because the more useful we are, the more will be invested in us, right? Any investor knows that. You don't have to be, a trillionaire to know that. right? Things that produce results are the things that people invest in, right? You would never go to buy a car and have the dealer tell you, this thing ain't ever going to run. No engine in it. Tires are almost flat. Steering wheel doesn't work and the brakes are gone, right? No matter how much you love the color of the paint, and no matter what a great deal you got on that car, that dog ain't gonna hunt, that car ain't gonna run, right? That is a really poor investment. You don't have to be a genius to know that, right? Well, the divine is a genius. It is the genius of all geniuses, and it will invest in that which it knows will produce results. And in the meantime, it inspires that which it is about to invest. It inspires it to grow more, develop more, expand more, so that it'll do more, and the divine is willing to invest more, right? We want to be the greatest investment the Spirit of Life ever saw. We want to be the greatest investment that we ever saw, to put our love and attention and time and effort and confidence in, right? Let's make ourselves that great investment. We have the power, the knowledge, the ability to do that. Let's do that. Let's not fall on the worriers and the critics and the procrastinators let's not be that. Let's choose to be the very best we can be. Let's choose to give ourselves credit for who we really are, and each other credit for how incredible we are and what incredible things we can do. So with that, I want to thank you all for being here tonight. Keep using the tools, keep having the confidence, the courage, and give yourself credit for how incredible you are and all that awaits you, on this incredible journey. Okay, thank you so much for being here tonight. I love you all. I'm grateful for you all. And we will see you next time, somewhere, somehow.
Thank you.